by the winter of 1891, the deadliest blizzard in 50 years swept through the valley, flattening cabins like matchboxes. But high on the ridge, an old stone windmill stood untouched. Though weeks earlier, nobody believed it would survive. Michael bought the derelict for a pittance. He claimed its thick round walls could beat any cabin in the valley.
That fool actually thinks he can live in a broken machine.
The laughter followed Michael as he carried his belongings inside. He didn't bother to argue. Up in the tower loft, he built a bed beneath the low, slanted beams, where the wind could only whisper. The sail mechanism was frozen, the grinding stones silent for decades. But Michael saw a home, not a mill.
This old place just needs some mending, not broken, just waiting.
He swore the round walls would shed wind better than any square cabin. The town just heard the creak of old wood. Winter was closing in, and the first heavy snow was already dusting the ridge. The next morning, Susan trudged up the ridge path, her basket heavy with bread and a wool blanket.
Michael, you really mean to live in this stone tomb? The whole town thinks you've lost your mind.
They've all got square walls. Round walls shed wind like water. You'll see.
I hope you are right. But even I wonder if the sails will tear off in the first gale.
Down in the town square, George the miller wasn't just laughing. He was laying odds that the ruin would collapse before spring.
That fool's living in a broken machine. Round walls won't save him when the wind gets angry.
Tom shook his head, tossing a coin onto the pile George had started. The bet was spreading. Back at the windmill, Michael ignored the gossip and kept working, sealing cracks with oakum and pitch.
They don't understand. It's not about new or old. It's about shape.
He ran a hand over the curved stone wall, feeling its cold, solid defiance. Michael and Susan worked day by day. A ladder climbed to a new loft bed, and a cast-iron stove warmed the circular room.
It's cozy, I'll give you that. But if the wind shakes this tower, you'll feel it in the top room.
The stones are 3 feet thick, Susan. This tower won't sway in any gale.
Down at the mill, George heard of the progress and scoffed louder than ever.
He's living in a chimney. Wait till a proper gale, that tower will sway like a drunkard and crack.
I'll double my bet that ruin won't last the month.
But inside the windmill, the walls barely trembled as the evening winds rose.
Maybe you are right. It feels solid, but the town won't forget this if you are wrong.
Let them bet. When the first real storm hits, they'll understand.
By nightfall, the windmill glowed like a lighthouse on the ridge, while the valley below whispered with bets and disbelief. The first real snowstorm buried the valley that week. Square cabins shivered and leaked, but inside the windmill, the air barely stirred.
I can't feel a draft anywhere. My window sills are frozen solid at home. How is this possible?
Round walls. The wind slides around us instead of punching through flat boards.
Susan stayed the night in the loft. By morning, the stove still glowed, and the stones held no frost.
He was right. This old mill is warmer than any cabin I've ever known.
Down in the valley, George walked his creaking mill, hearing the winds wail through every crack, but he told no one.
A fluke. The real winds haven't come yet. That tower will still sway.
But the bets only grew, and each day the windmill stood. The pile of coins felt heavier in George's pocket.
Let them wait. The worst is yet to come, and this tower will be the only thing still standing.
As the snowpack deepened, the valley settled into uneasy quiet, but the sky promised more. A bitter forecast swept through the valley. The worst storm in decades was bearing down.
Come stay with me, Susan. This one feels different. The air is too still.
I'll be fine. My cabin's held through worse, but I'll keep a bag packed.
Hysteria. I've seen 50 winters. A little snow won't shake the valley.
The skies turned green. I've never seen that before. George might be wrong this time.
I remember the blizzard of '65. Men froze in their beds. Pray it's not that.
Michael carried extra wood and food into the windmill, sealing every vent he could find.
Maybe Michael's right, but I can't just abandon home. Not yet.
George placed his bet and laughed, but as he walked home, the first flakes stung his face like needles. The valley held its breath. The blizzard would be on them by morning. The blizzard hit not with a whisper, but a howl that shook the mountainside like a beast unchained.
Steady. These stones have seen 100 winters.
Susan's cabin shuddered violently, the first time she'd ever felt the thin planks bend inward.
I can't stay here. It's going to split like kindling.
From the tower window, Michael searched the blinding white for any sign of his sister's shadow. She grabbed her bag and pushed out into the storm, the wind nearly tearing the door from her grip.
Half a mile to the windmill. Just keep moving. Don't stop.
At George's mill, the water wheel groaned to a halt as ice choked the ancient gears.
That ice? It's never done that before. Not in all my years.
A distant crack echoed through the white. A square cabin had crumbled under the snow's relentless weight, but the windmill's round tower stood silent and solid, its windows glowing like beacons in the dark. Susan stumbled through the white howl, her footprints filling the instant she lifted each boot.
There, a shape moving against the drift. She made it.
He threw open the heavy door, snow blasting inward as he reached into the storm and pulled her inside.
The cabins, they're snapping. I heard the beam stumps crack on my way up.
Through the small tower window, they watched a neighbor's cabin fold inward and vanish beneath the white weight. At George's mill, the ice-shoved sluice gate burst, and freezing water flooded the lower floor.
The mill is done. My father built this. I have to leave.
We can't help anyone now. The only reason this tower stands is because it's round.
Outside, the blizzard screamed louder, but the thick stone walls made the howl distant, almost unreal. Susan huddled by the stove, shivering, but alive. The valley below was being erased. George waded through the freezing sluice water, knowing if he stayed, he'd drown before the storm broke.
The windmill, that fool's broken machine. It's the only thing still standing. I have to reach it.
He pushed into the howling dark, the windmill's distant glow, the only mark on the ridge.
Someone's down there. Not Susan. The gate is wrong. That's George.
George stumbled, fell face first into the drift, and dragged himself up again, breath freezing against his chest.
I mocked him, bet against him. Will he even open the door?
Michael, that's George. He'll die out there. We have to let him in.
He laughed at me, but he's still a man.
George's legs gave out one final time. He collapsed into the snow, 50 yards from the tower, the light just out of reach. The windmill door remained shut, the round stone tower silent, but watching.
Michael, I don't care what he said. He's a man dying on our doorstep. Open the door.
He's earned my hatred, but hatred won't warm a corpse.
Susan grabbed his arm, her grip urgent, her eyes pleading.
You are better than this. Be the man who saves, not the one who watches.
Michael stared at the door, then back at Susan. His pride warred with her plea. He pulled the heavy oak open, and the storm bit at the warmth inside. 20 yards away, George lay motionless in the drift. Without a word, they plunged into the white, bent double against the gale. They grabbed the frozen miller under the arms and hauled him, boots dragging back to the door. Inside, they dropped him onto the stone floor, his skin waxen, his breath a shallow rasp. The door boomed shut, and the round stone tower sealed out the dying world, 3 lives behind curved walls.
Where these walls? They're not even trembling. I was wrong. Your round walls, they saved me. I bet against you, laughed at you, and now I owe you my life.
You are welcome to stay. But remember, you are here because of what you called a broken machine.
The blizzard outside screamed with undiminished fury, but the curved stone walls remained still, a womb of trapped warmth.
This tower, it's not broken at all. It's unbreakable.
The windmill saved us all, George. Now rest. We'll need our strength.
Hour after hour, the storm pounded the valley, flattening what dared stand square. The round tower alone stood silent, unshaken.
They called it broken, but it's holding 3 lives. Maybe broken is a matter of opinion.
The broken machine had become the valley's only refuge, and inside its curving walls, 3 souls awaited the dawn. Dawn broke pale behind the blizzard, but the wind did not relent. Inside the tower, time stretched into a hollow rhythm.
We need to ration carefully. The bread is half gone, and the woodpile won't last forever.
I am sorry. I should have listened. I put us all at risk with my stubbornness.
His guilt won't fill our bellies, but at least he's alive to feel it.
Another night passed without a star, the blizzard moaning through the stone like a living thing. On the 3rd morning, the wind's scream softened to a groan. The thick walls shivered once, then stilled.
Listen, the storm is dying. We made it.
Survived, but what's left outside?
The windmill stood in a world erased, but its round walls had held. Inside, 3 survivors shared the last of the bread in a wary silence. The worst was over, but the valley below remained hidden beneath an ocean of white. They dug through the drift with numb hands until the door groaned open onto a world remade in white silence.
God, there's nothing left standing but us.
Cabins lay crushed like eggshells. Great pines snapped in half, and the frozen stream was a road of broken ice.
My mill, the wheels torn clean off. My father's name is buried under ice.
I can't believe it. Everything's gone. But the windmill, it's still there.
I prayed for a miracle. That tower might be the only one we got.
Michael stood beside the tower, its curved walls unmarred, while George knelt in the ruins of his own legacy.
I bet against him. We all did. And his broken machine is the only thing that held.
Susan's cabin was gone, a slope of splinters under the snow, but she only sighed and touched Michael's arm. The windmill stood alone above the wreckage, no longer a broken machine, but the valley's last upright stone. By noon, the survivors gathered around the windmill, staring at its unbroken stones, as if seeing them for the first time.
I laughed at this man. I called his home a broken machine, but when my mill fell, it was these round walls that saved my life.
Now they see. But a home's peace is fragile once you let the world inside.
We were all wrong, Michael. Your tower is the only reason any of us survived.
But the grain is buried, and the valley will starve unless we can grind again. This tower is the only mill left.
Michael, what if we repaired the sails? The millstone still works. It could feed the whole valley come spring.
This is my home, not just a mill. I built a life here, quiet and warm.
Let me help. I know milling better than anyone. I'll work for you, not against you.
If I say yes, I lose the silence. If I say no, the valley starves. There's no easy answer.
Michael looked from the hopeful faces back to his quiet tower. The valley waited for his word, but he offered none. He stepped inside the windmill, the door shutting out the cold stairs. Susan followed, her footsteps quick on the stone.
You can't let your pride starve the valley, Michael. This is bigger than you now.
I know, but this is the only place I've ever felt at peace.
I'll sweep the floor, carry the grain, whatever you need. Just let me make amends.
He was my enemy. Now, he's offering to serve. The storm really did reshape everything.
That's what the storm does. It reshapes things. Even men.
Michael looked at George's calloused hands, the hands of a miller, now offering only labor.
I need time. This isn't a decision I can make for a crowd.
He climbed the tower alone, the valley's silence heavy on his shoulders. Below, the town still waited, but no answer came from the round stone tower.
I'll do it, on one condition. The upper floors stay mine, and quiet. The mill room can belong to the valley.
Done. I'll sleep on the stone floor if I have to. Just let me work those stones again.
We'll need to mend the sailcloth and grease the cap bearing. I can start as soon as the snow melts.
And I'll true the stones. They're worn, but they'll grind fine with a good dressing.
Michael watched them plan around his kitchen table, their voices filling the tower that had known only silence.
It's no longer just mine. But if it feeds them, maybe that's a fair price.
George knelt and pressed his palm to the millstone, an old miller's oath to serve the mill that feeds.
Come spring, we'll climb up and fix the sails first. Then the valley can breathe again.
We'll be ready. This broken machine is about to prove it was never broken at all.
The pact was sealed not with a handshake, but with a shared task. The three of them bound to the old stones until spring. The thaw came slow, dripping music from every eave. Green showed beneath the shrinking snow, and the valley held its breath.
The sailcloth is holding tight. A few more stitches and these blades will catch the first good wind.
The stones are dressed and balanced. I've not seen a cleaner edge in 20 years.
A breeze rose from the valley, strong and steady. The patched sails creaked once, then began to turn, slowly, then with purpose.
They're spinning. After all this time, the old girl remembers her work.
George poured the first sack of grain into the hopper. The millstone rumbled deep in the tower's belly.
It's grinding. The flour is coming.
The sound of stone on grain drew the town. They gathered, silent at first, watching the stream of flour fill the sack.
The mill is alive. After everything, the old windmill feeds us again.
Michael watched the joy ripple through the crowd, strangers embracing, children whooping, and he let the sound wash over the quiet he'd guarded.
The first sack of flour. This belongs to the valley, and it came from a tower I once called broken. Michael, you were right all along. This round tower is the strongest building in the valley, and now it's our salvation.
It's not just my tower anymore. It belongs to anyone who needs shelter or bread.
Look at him. They're not laughing now. They're lining up to thank him.
I owe you an apology, Michael. My bet was wrong, and so was my mouth. You've saved us all.
This old windmill kept you warm, and now it keeps us fed. It's a miracle.
One by one, the townspeople who had laughed now stepped forward, their hands offering not coins, but thanks. The millstone hummed through the afternoon, filling sack after sack, as the forgotten tower became the valley's heartbeat. That night, the windmill glowed not with the quiet of a lone refuge, but with the clatter of hope restored. And in the morning, the sails still turned, a silent promise that the valley would never go hungry again. Within a week, wagons creaked up the ridge road, loaded with grain from every farm the blizzard had spared.
I never thought I'd see this road so busy again. The windmills brought the valley back to life.
George and Michael worked the stones from dawn until the stars pricked the sky.
The old mill never ran this steady. The wind up here is constant, just like you said, Michael.
It's noisier now, but the sound is purpose, not chaos.
We've ground enough to feed the whole valley through the next winter, and we're just getting started.
Susan organized the queue, her ledger filling with names of families who would eat that winter because of the round stone tower. Farmers, who had once bet against the windmill, now paid in grain, their laughter replaced by gratitude.
I'll haul the sacks, George. It's the least I can do after my foolish words.
The windmill's shadow lengthened over a valley rebuilt, its sails turning like a clock, hand marking a new season. By high summer, the valley wore green like a new coat, and the only scar was the memory of the blizzard.
I built this home for one, and it saved 100. The wind doesn't ask permission to change things.
George often stopped his work to tell newcomers the tale of the round tower that refused to fall.
We all thought it would fall, but the wind slides around round walls. Remember that when you build your own shelter.
The windmill became more than a mill. It was a landmark for every traveler who had heard the legend of the blizzard.
The wind still howls outside, but inside, it's only a whisper. Round walls don't fight the wind. They just let it pass.
Travelers asked about the round tower on the ridge, and the villagers always began with the storm.
I was the loudest mocker, and the first to be proven wrong. That tower saved my life. Don't ever call it broken.
The round walls were no longer a curiosity. They were a lesson written in stone, a shape that saved a valley. And Michael, walking the fields each evening, saw in the windmill not a machine, but a promise kept. 1 year to the day after the blizzard, the valley gathered again at the foot of the windmill.
On this day, last year, I thought we'd lost everything. But the old mill held fast.
And I was the fool who called it broken. Today, I give thanks to these stones and the man who believed in them.
We all owe Michael our lives. His tower gave us shelter and bread.
I never needed it to be a mill. I just needed it to be home. It was never broken, just waiting.
At those words, a breeze stirred the sails into slow motion, as if the old tower nodded in agreement.
It's a sign. The valley will always have this tower, and it will always turn.
The round stone tower cast its long shadow over the gathering, no longer a relic but a testament.
Broken machine? Number. It was the one whole thing among us. And now it will never stop turning.
The valley had been frozen, but the windmill had waited, and when the thaw came, it ground grain, hope, and a new beginning. After the gathering, Michael climbed the tower alone, his footsteps echoing where grain dust still hung in the evening light.
All those months ago, I only wanted a roof that wouldn't fall. I never expected it to hold a whole valley.
The stove glowed low, the curved walls holding the day's warmth as they had through the worst of the storm. He looked out over the darkening fields, where the repaired cabins stood like quiet sentinels below the ridge.
The wind that night screamed like the end of everything, but the stones didn't even tremble. They just held.
The windmill had become more than a mill or a home. It was proof that what others discard can become a sanctuary. Outside, the sails turned with the steady night breeze, a rhythm that had become as natural as breathing.
My home, the valley's heart, not broken, never broken, just waiting for someone to believe.
The tower glowed softly against the night sky, a steady flame on the ridge that had once been a graveyard of snow. And in that quiet, the windmill stood, as it would stand for generations, a round stone promise that even the deadliest storm cannot break. The valley rebuilt itself, cabin by cabin, while the windmill turned its patient circles on the ridge. Every sack of flour carried the story of the night. The storm tried to erase them. The round tower had become the heart of a landscape that refused to forget. Children grew up with the legend, and their children would tell it in turn. The sails caught the wind that had once been death and turned it into life. In the last light of day, the mill shone with a warmth that reached the valley floor, and in its shadow, the lesson held that shape matters, that round can save, that old can endure, a monument to the truth that what is called broken is often just waiting. Sometimes, the things we think are broken are the only ones strong enough to save us, and the windmill still turns.